Lieutenant Ji Woo-han stood at her control station on Luna Base and watched numbers change on her screen. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Kim first detected the Voss fleet. Now the alien ships were only days away from Earth's outer defense zone. But Ji-woo wasn't worried. She had been waiting for this day since she joined the military 5 years ago. Her job was one of the most important secrets on Luna Base. While other officers thought she just managed mining equipment, she actually controlled protocol. Shepard. Titan Station reports ready, called out Sergeant Dongmin from across the room. Europa Station confirms all systems green. The asteroid belt networks are online. Ji-woo nodded and typed commands into her computer. Around the solar system, things that looked like ordinary space stations were changing. Mining platforms near Saturn opened hidden panels. Research posts around Jupiter deployed equipment that had been hidden for decades. Even the small communication satellites between planets had secret functions. Luna Base to all Shepard stations, Ji-woo said into her headset. Begin final preparations. The visitors will be here soon. On Earth, Colonel Min-ho Choi walked into a room full of world leaders. Presidents, prime ministers, and generals sat around a big table deep underground. Most of them looked nervous. They had been told that Earth was about to be attacked, but they didn't understand how 30 old ships could fight 200 modern warships. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Choi began, today you will learn the truth about Earth's defenses. What I'm about to show you must never be discussed outside this room. He pressed a button, and the lights dimmed. A huge screen showed a picture of Earth from space. It looked normal and peaceful. This is what our enemies see, Colonel Choi said. A nice blue planet with some basic orbital stations, a few patrol ships, nothing scary. The picture changed. Now it showed the same view, but with thousands of red dots marking hidden locations. This is what Earth really looks like. Every dot represents a weapon system, a sensor array, or a defense platform. For 50 years, we have been building the most powerful fortress in the galaxy, and we made it look like we were doing nothing. The leaders stared at the screen. The president of Brazil spoke first. How is this possible? We never approved budgets for this kind of construction. Colonel Choi smiled. Ma'am, you did approve the budgets, you just didn't know what they were, really for. Every mining operation, every research station, every infrastructure project had a secret second purpose. We built our defenses while pretending to build civilian facilities. The president of Korea looked confused. But our intelligence services would have noticed something this big. Sir, your intelligence services helped plan it. This project involved every nation on Earth. We've all been working together since first contact with the aliens. Dr. Woo Jin Lee designed the whole system before most of you were born. While Colonel Choi explained Earth's secrets, Sergeant Hye-jin Nam was busy in Seoul. Her job was to move all the civilians to safe places before the fighting started, but she couldn't tell them the real reason. Attention, citizens, she announced over the city's speakers. This is a routine civil defense drill. Please move to your assigned shelter locations in an orderly manner. People grumbled, but they followed the instructions. They had done these drills before, though not for several years. Most thought it was just practice in case of accidents or natural disasters. Hee-jin watched families walk toward the subway entrances. The subways would take them to shelters that could protect them from orbital bombardment. The shelters had enough food and air for months, though Hye-jin didn't expect the battle to last that long. Above her head, the city of Seoul looked normal. Office buildings, shopping centers, parks full of trees. In a few days, all of that would change. The real Seoul, the one built for war, would take its place. Far from Earth, the Voss fleet continued toward the solar system. War Commander Thexvar studied intelligence reports in his private quarters. The humans had 30 ships, all of them old and weak. Their largest orbital station could hold maybe 1,000 people. Their planet had no visible weapon systems. Too easy, he muttered. This won't even be a real battle. His aide, a younger Voss named Krextal, brought him more reports. Sir, our long-range sensors confirm the intelligence. We detect minimal military activity in the human system. They appear to be conducting normal civilian operations. Thexvar was pleased but also a little disappointed. He liked battles that challenged his skills. Crushing weak enemies was profitable but boring. Have they tried to contact us yet? He asked. No, sir. They may not even know we're coming. Perfect. We'll be in position to attack in 4 days. Make sure all ship commanders understand the plan. We hit their orbital defenses first, then demand surrender. If they refuse, we start bombarding their cities until they give up. On Earth, Dr. Su-Bin Kang worked in her laboratory late at night. She was the galaxy's leading expert on VOS technology, though the VOS didn't know that. For 20 years, she had been studying every piece of VOS equipment that Earth spies could steal or buy. Her computer screen showed detailed plans of VOS warships. She knew exactly how their shields worked, where their weak points were, and how their weapons systems functioned. The VOS thought their technology was secret, but Dr. Kang probably understood it better than most VOS engineers. Predictable, she said as she looked at the fleet formation approaching Earth. They always use the same attack pattern. Hit the obvious defenses first, then move closer to threaten the planet directly. Her assistant, Dr. Chang Ho, looked over her shoulder. Will our weapons be effective against their ships? Dr. Kang smiled. Chang Ho, our weapons were designed specifically to kill VOS ships. Every system, every weapon, every tactic has been tested against their technology. They think they're bringing superior firepower to fight primitive humans. She switched to another screen showing test results from hidden firing ranges. Actually, they're bringing obsolete weapons to fight the most advanced military force they've ever encountered. Back on Luna Base, Ji Wuhan received a priority message. The VOS fleet had crossed into the outer solar system. In 72 hours, they would reach the first hidden defense positions. All stations, this is Luna Control, she announced. Begin Phase 2 activation. Repeat. Begin Phase 2 activation. Around the solar system, the final preparations began. Near Pluto, a small research station opened like a flower, revealing massive sensor arrays that could track ships across half the galaxy. In the asteroid belt, thousands of rocks that looked completely natural split apart to show the weapon systems, hidden inside. The mining station near Saturn was the biggest transformation. What had looked like a simple facility for collecting ice suddenly became a fortress bigger than some moons. Weapon barrels emerged from hidden compartments. Fighter bays opened in structures that had seemed like storage tanks. Shield generators that had been disguised as communication equipment came online. But the most impressive change happened on Earth's moon. Deep beneath the lunar surface, systems that had been sleeping for 50 years began to wake up. The moon itself was about to reveal its greatest secret. Admiral Bo-Ra Park stood in the main command center and watched status reports from across the solar system. Every hidden base was reporting ready. Every secret weapon was charged and waiting. 50 years of preparation were about to pay off. Admiral, called Captain Kim from his monitoring station, the VOS fleet will enter our defense zone in 60 hours. Thank you, Captain. Signal all commanders. Tell them the hunting season is about to begin. War Commander Thexvar had no idea that every move his fleet made was being watched by sensors he couldn't detect. He didn't know that weapons designed to destroy his specific ships were tracking his course. He thought he was leading a powerful fleet to conquer a weak world. Instead, he was flying 200 ships into the most carefully prepared trap in galactic history. The humans had been waiting 50 years for someone exactly like him to make exactly this mistake. In less than 3 days, the VOS Empire would learn why Earth had always seemed so strangely peaceful. It wasn't because humans were weak, it was because they were patient, and they were very, very smart about hiding their strength. The storm was about to break and Earth was ready. The VOS fleet reached Earth's outer defensive zone just as War Commander Thexvar had planned. His ships moved in perfect formation toward the inner solar system. Their sensors showed exactly what he expected to see. A few small patrol craft, some basic orbital stations, and one peaceful blue planet. Begin the attack, Thexvar ordered. Send the fast destroyers to eliminate those pathetic orbital platforms. Clear the way for the main fleet. 20 VOS destroyers broke formation and raced toward what looked like a simple mining station near Titan. Their weapons charged, ready to blast the station into pieces. This would be quick and easy. Captain Young-Soo Bei sat in the command chair of his ship, hidden in a pocket of twisted space near Saturn. His vessel, The Soul's Pride was invisible to Voss sensors. Around him, his bridge crew watched their screens and waited for the order they had trained for their entire careers. "Sir, the Voss destroyers are approaching Titan Station," reported his weapons officer. "They're charging their main guns." Young-Soo watched the enemy ships get closer to the hidden fortress. The Voss had no idea they were flying into a trap. "Let them get nice and close," he said calmly. "Make sure they're committed to the attack." On the Voss flagship, Thexvar watched his destroyers approach their target. "This is almost insulting," he told his officers. "These humans couldn't defend a garbage barge, let alone a whole planet." The lead Voss destroyer fired its main cannon at Titan Station. The energy beam should have cut the station in half. Instead, it struck a shield so powerful that the beam scattered like light hitting a mirror. "What?" Thexvar stared at his screen. How did that station survive a full destroyer blast? He was about to get his answer in the worst possible way. Lieutenant Ji Wuhan sat at her control station on Luna Base and smiled as she watched the enemy ships enter her trap. "All Shepard stations," she announced. "You are cleared to reveal. Show our visitors what we've really built out here." The mining station near Titan suddenly changed. Panels slid away from its surface, showing massive weapon barrels underneath. Support structures that had looked like simple equipment unfolded into shield generators and missile launchers. In 30 seconds, a peaceful mining facility became a fortress that could fight a whole fleet. But that was just the beginning. The research station near Europa split open like an egg, releasing hundreds of fighter craft. These weren't the basic patrol ships the Voss expected. They were cutting-edge war machines equipped with weapons that could punch through battleship armor. In the asteroid belt, thousands of rocks that had looked completely natural revealed their true purpose. Each asteroid contained weapon systems, sensors, or missile platforms. The entire belt became a maze of hidden fortresses, all of them targeting the Voss fleet. Commander So-Young Lim led the first wave of Earth's real defense fleet as they uncloaked around the moon. Her ship, the New Busan, emerged from a hiding place in folded space, followed by 50 other vessels that the Voss had never detected. These ships looked nothing like the old patrol craft that Earth had shown to the galaxy. They were sleek, deadly, and designed with 50 years of captured alien technology. Their weapons could destroy Voss ships in single hits. Their shields could stop anything in the enemy arsenal. "This is Commander Lim to all units," she announced, over the fleet channel. "Welcome to the real Earth Defense Force. Let's show these Voss what we think of uninvited guests." On the Voss flagship, chaos erupted as sensor officers tried to understand what was happening. "Sir, massive energy readings from the human system, hundreds of new contacts appearing on sensors." Thexvar stared at the tactical display as red dots representing human forces multiplied faster than his computers could count. "This is impossible. Our intelligence said they had 30 ships." "Sir, we're detecting weapon signatures we've never seen before, power levels beyond anything in our database." The first Voss destroyer exploded as Titan Station's main gun fired. The energy beam was so powerful it didn't just destroy the ship. It vaporized it completely. There wasn't even debris left behind. The other destroyers tried to retreat, but Commander Lim's fighters were already among them. The human craft moved faster than anything the Voss had ever faced, their weapons cutting through enemy shields like they weren't there. Major Tae-Hyun Park stood in a command bunker deep beneath. Solon watched as Earth itself joined the battle. "All surface stations," he announced, "initiate planetary defense mode." The mountains around the city began to move. What had looked like natural rock formations slid apart, revealing weapon systems built into the landscape itself. The peaks weren't just mountains. They were camouflaged gun barrels bigger than Voss battleships. In the ocean, the seafloor opened as underwater bases launched clouds of missiles toward space. Each missile was guided by computers that knew exactly where every Voss ship would be. There was nowhere for the enemy to hide. The cities transformed before Major Park's eyes. Office buildings retracted into the ground, replaced by shield generators and defensive towers. Parks and shopping centers disappeared as massive weapons rose from hidden underground chambers. In minutes, every major population center on Earth became a fortress. Dr. Wu Jinli finally appeared in person, walking into the main command center beneath the Swiss Alps. He was an old man now, but his eyes were bright with excitement as he watched his 50-year plan unfold perfectly. "Admiral Park," he said to his old friend, "I believe our guests are beginning to understand their mistake." Admiral Bora Park stood beside him, watching the tactical displays that showed the battle raging across the solar system. "Wu Jin, this is even more effective than your simulations predicted." "Of course it is," the old scientist replied. "We had 50 years to study Voss tactics. We know how they think, how they fight, how they react to surprises. This isn't a battle. It's a demonstration." War Commander Thexvar watched his fleet die around him. In the first 10 minutes of combat, he had lost 40 ships. His weapons barely scratched the human defenses, while their return fire destroyed Voss vessels with single shots. "How did they hide all this?" he demanded. "Our spies have been watching Earth for years." His intelligence officer was pale with fear. "Sir, I think we never saw their real defenses. Everything we observed was fake. The weak patrol ships, the basic stations. It was all designed to make us underestimate them." The truth hit Thexvar like a physical blow. The humans hadn't been caught unprepared. They had been waiting for him. Every piece of intelligence the Voss had gathered was exactly what Earth wanted them to know. "They wanted us to attack," he whispered. "This whole system is a trap." On Earth's moon, Commander Dal-Su Kim prepared to reveal humanity's greatest secret. Deep beneath the lunar surface, systems that had been hidden since the moon's construction began to activate. "Lunar command to all stations," he announced. "Beginning primary weapon deployment. Clear all approach vectors." The moon began to split. What everyone in the galaxy had thought was a natural satellite revealed itself as humanity's ultimate fortress. The lunar surface opened along hidden seams, showing weapon systems that dwarfed anything on planets or ships. The moon wasn't just Earth's natural satellite. It was a hollow battle station that had been under construction for 50 years, disguised to look like an ordinary moon. Now it showed its true purpose as the largest weapon platform ever built. Captain Yun-Young Seo coordinated the asteroid belt defenses as millions of automated drones swarmed out from every rock and ice chunk in the system. Each drone was small and fast, carrying just enough firepower to cripple a Voss fighter, but there were millions of them, and they moved like a cloud of deadly insects. "Drone swarm deployment complete," she reported. "Enemy fleet is completely surrounded. They can't move without hitting our units." The Voss found themselves trapped in a maze of hostile machines. Every direction they turned, more human weapons appeared. The asteroid belt wasn't just hiding defense platforms. It had become a living weapon that wrapped around the enemy fleet like a metal net. Specialist Ga Yun-Yun watched from the main tactical center as Earth's plan reached its final phase. The Voss fleet was broken and scattered, their formation destroyed, their ships burning in the vacuum of space. "Ma'am," she reported to Admiral Park, "enemy fleet cohesion has collapsed. They're trying to retreat, but our outer defense ring has them blocked." Admiral Park nodded. "Signal all units. Begin the cleanup phase. I don't want a single Voss ship to escape this system." War Commander Thexvar realized with growing horror that retreat was impossible. Every escape route was blocked by human forces he hadn't known existed. His mighty fleet of 200 warships was being systematically destroyed by an enemy that had spent decades preparing for this exact battle. "Send a surrender signal," he ordered desperately. "Tell them we yield." But no one was listening to surrender offers. Earth had waited 50 years for this moment, and they intended to make sure no Voss ship survived to report what had happened here. The battle wasn't just a victory. It was a complete erasure of the Voss threat, performed by a civilization that had pretended to be helpless while building the most devastating military force in the galaxy. Captain Daeho Kim sat in his chair at the Earth Defense Center and watched the screens around him. The year was 2387, and Earth had been talking to aliens for 50 years now. Most days were quiet. Ships came and went from the big space stations around Earth. Traders brought strange goods from distant worlds. Scientists shared discoveries with alien friends. Everything seemed peaceful. Daeho liked the quiet days. He had been watching space for 10 years now, and the exciting days usually meant trouble. Today felt different, though. His computer was picking up something strange from the edge of the solar system. "Sir, I'm getting readings from the long-range sensors," said his assistant, a young woman named Hai-Wan. She looked worried as she stared at her screen. "Something big is coming our way." Daeho walked over to her station. The screen showed dots moving toward Earth. Lots of dots. More dots than he had ever seen before. "How many ships?" he asked. 200, sir. Maybe more. They're still too far away to get exact numbers. Hai-Wan's voice was quiet. "Sir, these aren't trader ships. They're moving in military formation." Daeho felt his stomach drop. 200 warships heading for Earth was not good news. He pressed a button on his desk. "Get me Admiral Park, right now." While he waited, Daeho looked at the peaceful scene outside his window. Earth looked so normal. People walked around the space station like any other day. Ships docked and left on schedule. Nobody knew that danger was coming. The screen on his desk came to life. Admiral Bo-Ra Park appeared, looking calm as always. She was a small woman with gray hair, but everyone in the Earth Defense Force respected her. She had been protecting Earth since before most people were born. "What do you have for me, Captain?" she asked. "Admiral, we have a big problem. 200 alien warships are heading straight for us. They'll be here in about 3 weeks." "Admiral," Park's face did not change. She looked like she had been expecting this news. "What type of ships?" "We think they're from the Voss Empire. The computer matches their ship designs to old intelligence files." Now Admiral Park did react. Her eyes got hard. "The Voss. I was wondering when they would try something like this." Daeho was confused. "Ma'am, you knew this might happen?" "Captain, the Voss have been looking at Earth for years. They think we're weak. They see our small defense fleet and think we'll be easy to conquer." She paused. "They're about to learn they made a big mistake." "But Admiral, we only have 30 ships. How can we fight 200 Voss warships?" Admiral Park smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that meant someone was about to get a very unpleasant surprise. "Captain, there are many things about Earth's defenses that most people don't know, even most of our own. Military doesn't know everything." Before Daeho could ask what she meant, she continued, "I want you to start Protocol 7 immediately. Send the coded message to all stations. Tell them the big day is finally here." "Protocol 7, ma'am?" Daeho had never heard of it. "You'll understand soon enough. For now, just send the message. And Captain, don't worry about those Voss ships. Worry about them instead." The screen went dark. Daeho stared at it for a moment, then turned to Hai-Wan. "Send Protocol 7 to all stations. Admiral's orders." While Hai-Wan worked, Daeho thought about what Admiral Park had said. What did she mean about things he didn't know? Earth's defense fleet was small. Everyone knew that. The aliens knew it too. That's why traders felt safe coming here, and why Earth had joined the Galactic Confederation as a junior member. Far away in space, War Commander Thexvar stood on the bridge of his massive warship. He was tall and covered in scales, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed red in the dark. Around him, other Voss officers prepared for the attack on Earth. "Report," Thexvar said in his deep voice. "Sir, our scouts confirmed the intelligence reports. Earth has maybe 30 old ships for defense. Their orbital stations are basic trader posts. No heavy weapons detected." The officer paused. "Sir, this will be easier than our last 3 conquests." Thexvar was pleased. The Voss Empire was always looking for new worlds to add to their collection. Species that couldn't fight back made the best slaves. Humans looked soft and weak, perfect for working in the deep mines or building ships for the Voss fleet. "How long until we reach their system?" he asked. 3 weeks, sir. Should we send a surrender demand first?" Thexvar laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "No. Let them think they're safe until the last moment. Fear makes them easier to control afterward." He walked to the big window at the front of his ship and looked at the stars. Behind him, 199 other Voss warships followed, in perfect formation. Each ship carried weapons that could destroy cities. Together, they had crushed 12 other worlds in the past 5 years. Humans, he said to himself. Another weak species that will learn to serve the Voss. Back on Earth, Admiral Park sat alone in her office deep underground. Most people didn't know this office existed. The real Earth Defense Headquarters was not in the public building where Captain Kim worked. It was buried under a mountain, protected by armor thick enough to stop asteroid impacts. She looked at old photos on her desk. Pictures of a young woman in a military uniform standing next to a man in a lab coat. The man was Dr. Woo Jin Lee, the smartest person she had ever met. 50 years ago, he had looked at the galaxy and made a prediction. Bora, he had said back then. Someday a strong alien race will look at Earth and see easy prey. When that day comes, we need to be ready. But we can't look ready, or they won't attack when we want them to. She had thought he was crazy at first. Why would they want aliens to attack Earth? But Dr. Lee had explained his plan. Earth would look weak while becoming incredibly strong. When the right enemy finally came, they would walk into a trap 50 years in the making. Now that day was here. The Voss were exactly the kind of enemy Dr. Lee had predicted. Strong, cruel, and sure that they were smarter than everyone else. They would attack Earth expecting an easy victory. Admiral Park pressed a button on her desk. Lights came on in rooms all over Earth that most people had never seen. In those rooms, men and women who had been waiting their whole lives for this moment began their final preparations. "This is Admiral Park," she said into her microphone. "Operation Shepherd is now active. Repeat, Operation Shepherd is now active. All units prepare for the big show." Around the world, people got the message. In underground bases, soldiers checked weapons that had never been used in battle. In space, hidden facilities that looked like harmless research stations began quiet transformations. On the moon, engineers started systems that had been sleeping for decades. The Voss thought they were attacking a peaceful world defended by 30 old ships. They had no idea they were flying into the most dangerous trap in the galaxy. Earth had spent 50 years preparing for this exact moment. Admiral Park looked at Dr. Lee's photo one more time. "You were right, old friend," she whispered. "They're coming, just like you said they would. Time to show them what humans can really do." In 3 weeks, the Voss Empire would learn that appearances can be very deceiving. They thought Earth was unprotected. They were about to discover just how wrong they could be. War Commander Thexavar had lost half his fleet in the first hour of battle, but he wasn't ready to give up. The Voss Empire had conquered dozens of worlds, and he had never retreated from any fight. If the humans wanted a real war, he would give them one. "All remaining ships form attack formation on my position," he ordered over the fleet communication system. "We still outnumber their visible fleet. We can break through their defenses and reach their planet directly." Around him, the surviving Voss commanders tried to regroup their forces. 150 warships were still operational, and each one carried enough firepower to level a city. If they could get past the outer defenses and reach Earth, they could force the humans to surrender. But Admiral Bora Park had been expecting exactly this move. In her underground command center, she watched the Voss ships gather for their desperate assault and smiled coldly. "They're doing exactly what Dr. Lee predicted they would do," she told her staff. When cornered, the Voss always try to attack the home planet directly. They think fear will make us negotiate. She pressed a button on her control panel. "This is Admiral Park to all defense stations. The enemy is making their final push. Time to show them our biggest surprise." High above Earth, the moon continued its transformation. Commander Dalsu Kim stood in the primary control room of humanity's greatest secret weapon. Around him, technicians operated systems that had been hidden inside the moon for 50 years. "Lunar, fortress weapons are fully charged, sir," reported his weapons officer. "All targeting systems are locked onto the enemy fleet." Dalsu looked at the tactical display showing the Voss ships approaching Earth. They had no idea they were flying toward a weapon platform disguised as a natural satellite. "Fire when ready," he commanded. The moon's surface opened wider, revealing cannon barrels the size of skyscrapers. When they fired, the energy beams were visible from Earth's surface as blazing lines of light that crossed space in seconds. Each shot had enough power to destroy a Voss battleship completely. But the moon was just the beginning of Earth's final surprise. Captain Yoon Seo watched from her command station as the asteroid belt came fully alive. What the Voss had thought were just hidden weapons platforms revealed their true nature. Every rock, every piece of ice, every chunk of metal in the belt was actually part of a massive automated defense system. Swarm deployment at maximum, she reported. 15 million combat drones now active and engaging enemy targets. The space around the Voss fleet filled with tiny ships, each one no bigger than a car but armed with weapons that could punch through warship armor. They moved like a cloud of metal insects, impossible to track individually, but deadly in their overwhelming numbers. Thexvar watched in horror as his ships were covered by the drone swarm. His gunners tried to shoot them down, but destroying one drone meant nothing when 1,000 more took its place. The small ships attacked his vessels, from every angle, wearing down shields and armor with countless small hits. "Sir, we're losing ships to those tiny fighters," his tactical officer reported. "Our main guns can't target them effectively." "Then use the point defense systems," Thexvar shouted back. "We are, sir, but there are too many of them." The Voss commander was learning the hard way why Earth had spent 50 years building automated defenses. Human computers could control millions of drones at once, coordinating attacks that no living pilot could match. On Earth's surface, Major Taehyun Park coordinated the planetary defense systems as the planet itself became a weapon. The cities had completed their transformation, with every building either hidden underground or replaced by military installations. "All surface batteries report ready for orbital bombardment," he announced. "If any enemy ships get past the outer defenses, we can hit them from the surface." The mountains around major cities were no longer mountains. They were massive gun emplacements built to look like natural formations. The ocean floors had opened to reveal submarine bases that could launch missiles into space. Even the forests contained hidden weapons that could track and destroy ships in orbit. Dr. Woo Jin Lee stood beside Admiral Park and watched his life's work unfold exactly as he had planned. Every Voss tactical move had been predicted and countered decades before. The battle began. "You know what the beautiful thing is about this?" he asked Admiral Park. "We're not just winning, we're teaching the galaxy a lesson." "What lesson is that?" she replied. "That appearances can be deceiving. Every aggressive species out there thinks they can judge a world's defenses by what they can see. After today, they'll have to wonder what else might be hidden." The Voss fleet was now down to 100 ships, as the moon's weapons and the drone swarms continued their relentless attack. But Thexvar refused to retreat. If he was going to die, he would take as many humans with him as possible. "All ships emergency thrust to the planet," he ordered. "If we can reach the surface, we can force them to surrender." It was exactly the wrong decision. Commander So Young Lim had positioned Earth's real fleet between the Voss ships and the planet, waiting for this moment. "New Busan to all vessels," she transmitted. "Enemy is making final approach. Implement termination protocol." The human ships revealed their final secret. They weren't just more advanced than anything the Voss had seen. They were equipped with weapons stolen from the Voss Empire itself, but improved with 50 years of human engineering. The first human salvo used modified Voss plasma cannons that were 3 times more powerful than the originals. The second wave fired projectiles made from materials the Voss had never learned to work with. The third attack used energy weapons based on Voss designs but powered by human fusion reactors. Impossible. Thexvar stared at his sensors as human ships fired weapons that looked like Voss technology, but performed far beyond Voss capabilities. "How do they have our classified weapon designs?" His intelligence officer checked the readings twice before answering. "Sir, those aren't just our weapons. They're improved versions. The humans have taken our technology and made it better." Specialist Ga-eun Yoon coordinated the final phase of the battle from the Central Command bunker. Earth's forces had moved beyond defense to active hunting. The human ships were no longer protecting their world. They were systematically destroying every enemy vessel. "Ma'am, enemy fleet down to 70 ships and falling rapidly," she reported to Admiral Park. "Our outer defense ring has sealed all escape routes. No Voss vessel will leave this system." Admiral Park nodded grimly. "Good. Make sure our long-range sensors confirm there are no enemy ships hiding in the outer system. This has to be complete. What the Voss still didn't understand was that Earth had been manipulating galactic politics for decades to engineer this exact situation. Every piece of intelligence the Voss had received about Earth's weakness had been carefully crafted. Every trade agreement and diplomatic contact had been designed to make aggressive empires think Earth was defenseless. The humans had spent 50 years not just building weapons, but learning how their enemies thought. They knew the Voss would attack when they seemed weak. They knew the Voss would bring their entire local fleet, thinking it was overkill for such an easy target. Captain Daeho Kim, who had first detected the Voss fleet weeks ago, now watched the cleanup operations from his monitoring station. "Admiral, I'm tracking the last enemy survivors. Looks like about 30 ships trying to reach the system edge." "Negative," Admiral Park replied. "No survivors. Send the hunter squadrons after them." Human ships equipped with the fastest engines ever built raced after the fleeing Voss vessels. These were pursuit craft designed for exactly this mission, making sure no enemy escaped to report what had happened. Thexvar's flagship was one of the last ships still fighting. His mighty dreadnought, which had led the conquest of 12 worlds, was now running for its life with its engines damaged and half its weapons destroyed. "Sir, human pursuit ships are gaining on us," his navigator reported. "We can't outrun them." Thexvar looked around his bridge at the officers who had followed him into this disaster. They were all good Voss warriors who had trusted his judgment. Now they were all going to die because he had been too arrogant to recognize a trap. "Send a message to the Voss Empire," he ordered. "Tell them what happened here. Warn them about the humans." "Sir, our communications array was destroyed in the battle. We can't reach home space." That had been intentional too. Earth's first targets were always enemy communication systems. No Voss ship would be able to report back to their empire. As far as the galaxy knew, 200 Voss warships had simply vanished in the Sol system. The last Voss ship exploded in a flash of light near the edge of the solar system. Commander So-Young Lim watched from her bridge as the pursuit squadrons confirmed the kill. "Clean sweep," she reported to Admiral Park. "All enemy vessels destroyed. No survivors, no witnesses." In the command center, Dr. Woo-Jin Lee looked at the tactical display showing a peaceful solar system once again. The battle was over, the trap had worked perfectly, and Earth's secret was safe. "Phase 1 complete," he announced. "Now we begin Phase 2. Admiral Park looked at him curiously. "Phase 2? The old scientist smiled. "My dear Bora, did you think we spent 50 years preparing just to fight one fleet?" 3 days after the battle, space around Earth looked peaceful again. The hidden weapons had returned to their disguises. The moon appeared to be just a normal satellite. The cities on Earth's surface had rebuilt their civilian appearances. To any casual observer, nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Admiral Bora Park stood in the main communications center, preparing to send a message that would shock the galaxy. For 50 years, Earth had pretended to be weak. Now it was time to reveal just enough of the truth to change how other species saw humanity. "Open a channel to the Galactic Confederation Council," she ordered. "Priority Alpha transmission." The screen came to life, showing alien faces from a dozen different worlds. These were the leaders of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, and they all looked confused about why Earth was calling an emergency session. "Council members," Admiral Park began. "I am Admiral Bora Park of the Earth Defense Force. 3 days ago, the Voss Empire sent 200 warships to attack our world. I am here to inform you that this attack has been completely defeated." The council members looked skeptical. Everyone knew that Earth had only 30 old ships for defense. How could they have fought off 200 Voss warships? The Centauri representative spoke first. "Admiral, we appreciate your confidence, but perhaps you should request assistance. The Voss fleet was detected entering your system. Surely you cannot fight such a force alone." Admiral Park smiled the same cold smile she had shown Captain Kim weeks ago. "Counselor, the Voss fleet no longer exists. All 200 ships have been destroyed with no survivors." Now the aliens looked shocked. The Talarian counselor leaned forward. "That's impossible. Our intelligence shows that Earth has minimal defensive capabilities." "Your intelligence is exactly what we wanted you to see," Admiral Park replied. "For 50 years, Earth has been building the most advanced defense network in the galaxy while appearing weak and harmless. The Voss learned too late that appearances can be deceiving." She pressed a button, and the screen changed to show footage from the battle. The alien counselors watched in stunned silence as Earth's hidden weapons destroyed the Voss fleet. They saw the moon reveal its true nature as a fortress. They watched millions of combat drones swarm enemy ships. They witnessed a civilization that had seemed primitive demonstrate military technology beyond anything in their databases. "This is impossible," whispered the Andromedan representative. "How did you hide all of this from our surveys?" "Because we're very good at making people see what we want them to see," Admiral Park answered. "Every trade delegation, every diplomatic visit, every intelligence operation has seen exactly what we wanted them to see. Earth has been playing a much deeper game than any of you realized." Captain Dae-ho Kim led the cleanup operations as human. Salvage teams collected the remains of Voss ships scattered throughout the solar system. Every piece of enemy technology was valuable data for improving Earth's defenses even further. "Captain Kim to salvage teams," he announced over the communications network. "Priority is on intact computer systems and weapon components. Intelligence wants to know everything about Voss military capabilities." The salvage work was going smoothly. Earth's engineers had studied Voss technology for decades, but getting actual military hardware was a rare opportunity. Every scanner, every weapon system, every piece of armor would be analyzed and used to make human defenses even stronger. Dr. Subin Kang worked in her laboratory, examining captured Voss equipment with excitement. She'd been studying their technology from stolen samples for 20 years. Now she had access to their most advanced military systems. "Fascinating," she said as she opened a Voss computer core. "Their encryption is exactly what our simulations predicted. We can break into their military networks whenever we want." Her assistant looked worried. "Dr. Kang, should we be concerned about Voss retaliation? They might send more fleets." Dr. Kang laughed. "Chang-ho, the Voss don't know what happened to their fleet. As far as they know, 200 ships entered the Sol system and vanished completely. They'll investigate, but they won't know what they're looking for." In the Galactic Confederation Council chambers, the alien representatives were still trying to understand what Earth had revealed. The implications were staggering. If humans could hide this kind of military power, what else might they be hiding? "Admiral Park," the Vegan counselor said carefully, "your actions raise many questions about Earth's true intentions. If you have such powerful defenses, why did you allow us to believe you were weak?" Admiral Park's expression became serious. "Counselor, we allowed you to believe what you chose to believe. We never claimed to be defenseless. We simply didn't advertise our strength. There's a difference." The Regelian representative leaned forward aggressively. "This deception threatens the balance of power in the galaxy. How do we know you're not planning to attack other worlds?" "Because if we wanted to attack other worlds, we would have done it decades ago," Admiral Park replied calmly. "Earth has no interest in conquest. We just wanted to be left alone. Unfortunately, aggressive species like the Voss don't respect peaceful intentions." Dr. Wu Jin Lee met with Earth's world leaders in the same underground conference room where Colonel Choi had revealed the planet's secrets weeks earlier. But now the leaders looked very different. They had seen their world's hidden power in action, and they understood that Earth was no longer a minor player in galactic politics. "Phase 1 of our long-term strategy is complete," Dr. Lee announced. "We have demonstrated that Earth cannot be attacked with impunity. Now we move to Phase 2. The President of the European Union spoke first. "Dr. Lee, what exactly is Phase 2? The old scientist smiled. "Phase 2 is about making sure this never happens again. Not just to us, but to anyone. The galaxy has too many aggressive empires that prey on weaker worlds. It's time to change that balance." Colonel Minho Choi welcomed new alien ambassadors to Earth. These weren't the casual trade representatives who had visited before. These were high-ranking diplomats from major powers, all of them suddenly very interested in maintaining good relationships with humanity. "Welcome to Earth," he said to the Centauri ambassador. "I trust your journey was comfortable." The ambassador, a tall, blue-skinned alien named Veltar, looked around nervously. The landing bay looked normal, but after seeing footage of the battle, he knew that appearances on Earth meant nothing. "Colonel, my government wishes to discuss new trade agreements with Earth. We believe our previous arrangements may have been insufficient." Colonel Choi smiled politely. "Of course, Ambassador. We're always interested in fair trade with our galactic neighbors. I'm sure we can find terms that work for everyone." What he didn't say was that Earth's definition of fair trade had changed dramatically. The galaxy's major powers were about to discover that humanity was no longer willing to accept junior status in galactic politics. Across the galaxy, rumors were spreading. The Voss Empire had sent a powerful fleet to attack Earth, and the fleet had simply disappeared. No distress signals, no survivors, no wreckage found in nearby systems. 200 warships had vanished as completely as if they had never existed. Other, aggressive empires began to reconsider their expansion plans. If the humans could make a Voss fleet disappear without a trace, what else might they be capable of? Species that had dismissed Earth as a backward colony started looking at humanity with new respect and considerable fear. "Admiral," Park stood in her office and looked at the photos on her desk. Dr. Lee was older now, but his plan was working perfectly. Earth had revealed just enough of its power to command respect while keeping most of its capabilities secret. "Bo-Ra," he said as he entered her office. "Our deep space sensors are detecting interesting movements. Several aggressive empires are pulling back their fleets from frontier regions. Word is spreading." "Good," Admiral Park replied. "Fear will keep them in line better than treaties ever did. But we need to be careful. Some species might try to form alliances against us. They'll see Earth as a threat to the established order." Admiral Park nodded. "Let them try. We've been preparing for that possibility too." Captain Youngsu Bei commanded one of Earth's hidden fleets as it patrolled the outer regions of human space. His ships were invisible to alien sensors, monitoring the reactions of various empires to news of the Voss defeat. "Captain, we're detecting increased military communications in the hegemony of Raxus," his intelligence officer reported. "They seem to be discussing the Earth situation." Youngsu wasn't surprised. The Raxus were another aggressive empire that had been eyeing human colonies for years. They were probably wondering if Earth's defenses extended to other worlds. "Maintain surveillance," he ordered. "If they want to test our capabilities, they'll learn the same lesson the Voss did." The battle had ended, but its effects were just beginning to spread through the galaxy. Earth had spent 50 years preparing to defend itself, but the real test would be how the galaxy's power structure adapted to the knowledge that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. In her final report to the world leaders, Admiral Park summarized the new situation. "We are no longer the weak species that joined the Galactic Confederation 50 years ago.